doesn't differentiate you, yeah? If you all have to do the same thing, then it's actually wasting intellectual capital. And especially if you have to do things at scale, you actually have to put some of your best people on it. At Amazon, during a particular period, we were actually seeing that about 70% of our engineer cycles were actually spent on infrastructure matters. Yeah? And for a company that actually prouds itself on innovation, that's ridiculous. Yeah? And through using these web services and these new technologies, we've been able to flip that around. But I hear from quite a few customers that are using our services that they're actually much better than reducing it to 30%. Yeah, they're actually doing their infrastructure management costs are dropping down to something maybe 8 or 10%. And that's much better than where they were. Again, if it doesn't differentiate you, yeah, you are wasting your time on it. And then the last one is that I also think it should give you the tools for doing things differently, for actually being able to build highly available applications, for example, or highly scalable ones, or additional levels of security that you couldn't enjoy before. Many of the enterprises and many younger businesses, if they weren't using cloud, were always restricted to maybe one data center. Doing a second data center would be very hard. And while the cloud always gives you these additional tools, such that, for example, the multi-availability zone feature of AWS allows you to build highly available applications at no additional cost. And so these 4 things, in my eyes, is what drive cloud. Yeah? It is not about the technology underneath that. It needs to lower your cost. It needs to improve your agility. It needs to remove this heavy lifting. And it needs to give you the tools to build really highly available, highly scalable applications. If it doesn't give you these tools, if it doesn't give you these advantages, in my eyes, it's not a cloud. Yeah? And so benefits is what it's all about. Now, so by now we have a whole collection of services, a whole collection of building blocks that helps our customers, be the sort of take away most of the pain that they had in managing their own infrastructure. And I won't go into too much detail. Simone will do a lot of that work later on. And in the last presentation, John Jenkins will also give you some insight in how some of these building blocks are being used by our customers. So about hundreds of thousands of businesses at this moment across the world, 190 different countries, many of the large brand names that you know out there, and with brand names have been both enterprises as well, the highly popular young businesses these days. So some of examples from here from Australia. I think these days wind energy and green energy is becoming, is getting a lot more attention. Let's put it like that. And there's this company in Adelaide called Cyclopic Energy that do modeling of large wind farms. And so they're really successful. But in the past, they had this one set of servers sitting on their own premise with which they need to do the modeling. And it was always the same, like, there would be large period of times when this massive server would be sitting empty. And by the time they needed it, there was always contention for it. And so they moved to the cloud and actually were able to reduce things that normally would take 2 months on premise to something that only takes 2 days. And that fact, the fact that they have been able to accelerate their business and by using cloud as a computational engine for them, now has allowed them to actually reach out outside of Australia as well, and where they get many customers outside of Australia to do the same thing for them. So for them, high performance was of course important, but also that they could actually manage this high performance by going much more parallel at a very controlled cost. Kaggle is a very interesting young business. So what they do is they run data competitions. Yeah, so companies come to them with a particular data set and then open that data set up for any data scientist in the world to use and to find predictive models for. So they have a whole range of customers from NASA to Ford and Deloitte. But a very interesting one is the Heritage Prize that they are involved with. So the Heritage Health Network has given them a data set of, I believe it is 100,000 patients or customers of the Heritage Health Network completely anonymized. And the challenge that they have put out is that find predictive models. Which of these patients or which of these customers are going to end up in the hospital in the coming year? You can imagine that such a model, if you can predict based on past, let's say, healthcare claims, and you can predict which customers have the highest risk of being hospitalized, you can take preventive actions. And so this is a great way of actually getting the collective mind of all data scientists around the world to work on these problems. And those actually that come up with the best predictive algorithms will get $3 million as a prize. So reliability plays a really important role there, scale, because of course all of these computations need to be run concurrently, and given that there is money at stake here, this cannot be some flimsy backroom computation. We need to make sure that this is ultra robust and yet robust at a good cost level. Redbubble is a company you guys may know, and this is sort of a prototypical early Amazon customer. Yeah, because they are a group of artists that create wonderful imagery, yet want to start a business on top of that and deliver that to customers. They don't want to think about infrastructure. Yeah, and so they really want to focus on the pure creative side of their business. Yeah, and so they are, I think they have 5 million art pieces at this moment on their site. They're adding 5,000 art pieces a day. And obviously, and given the amount of customers customer traffic that they see and all the e-commerce operations around it, it's a massive technical operation. Yet, they really want to focus on the artwork. So for them, most important part for using the cloud is removing the heavy lifting piece. Yeah? Yet it needs to be scalable, and it needs to, again, be low cost. And there's great stuff on the site. This is just a few logos that are pulled off their site. It's just fun to use. And I actually ordered something. Yeah? There are 178 different Daft Punk t-shirts on their website. Yeah? It's very important. Remember this, yeah? And I ordered this one, actually. It's a great one. Citrus, a digital agency company. A long-time digital agency company. They were working for a long time with the Victoria Racing Club. And they, of course, have a very high-quality digital online experience. But they also run a particular event every year. Yeah? And that event that takes only a few days, but while the Victoria Racing Club, normal days, they get thousands of hits on a daily basis. During these few days of the Melbourne Racing Cup, they get millions and millions of hits. And especially because, I believe that only a few days before the race, it is really known which horses and which riders will really take part in this race. There is an enormous, attention to this website. And what Citrus did is actually build, again, a very high quality experience, because that signifies the brand of the Victoria Racing Club with, great videos, high quality videos, lots of history about all the horses and the riders and things like that. Of course, they need to move to AWS to really support all the traffic that they would be seeing during just these few days a year. Again, for them it was fast time to market, because there is this very short period in which these riders become known, and that they actually continuously have to adapt the media on that site to deliver the high quality content. So many of those are businesses here in Australia, and of course you think, well, that's all enterprises and things like that. But there's a whole new range of customers in the cloud as well, and which is federal government, or in this case the US federal government, but we see governments across the world making use of the Amazon Web Services. And governments often have additional criteria, but in the US, Vivek Kundra, the CIO of the federal government, has taken what is called a cloud-first strategy. First of all, it means that all agencies in the US need to have at least 3 or 4 applications running within the coming 12 months. But also, for every new application that's being built, cloud should be considered the first platform. And actually, CEOs of the agencies will have to motivate why they are not using cloud, and whether there's reasons for not using that. So And actually, Vivek wrote something on his blog that actually could have come out of sort of